Shalom to the nation of Israel. This is Barazal coming in the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahushai Ba'Hashem, Racha Kodash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone and to the hopeful elect pushing his word in truth and sincerity across the four corners of the earth. This lesson is going to be titled, well, I actually don't have a title, but I want to start with this scripture. Galatians 5:17. For the flesh lusteth against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh, and these are contrary the one to the other, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would. Right? So things that you want to do in righteousness, which is your spirit, which is who you are, because you are your spirit, right? You can't do them all the time because this flesh will stop you from doing it. Right? And I picked this one because, the Lord is going to test you, right? He's going to test you in situations. And I mean, every situation is really a test. It's just that there's big tests and there's just small tests, right? It's like you have a midterm review or a midterm, and then you have the exam. Then you have pop quizzes. Think of it like that, right? So each one is still a trial. It's still a test. You're still being tried out. But the exam is worth more marks than the pop quiz, right? And the pop quiz is not worth as much marks as the midterm. But there are more pop quizzes within when you're in a class, you have more pop quizzes than you do midterms. Right? So the percentage of the accumulation of all those pop quizzes still add up to a lot. So you got to take everything seriously. That's the whole point. You got to stay in the spirit and take every situation seriously. You got to slow it down and think about what's going on. Right? So your flesh will cause you to pull away and focus on the flesh. Right? It will cause your spirit to focus on the flesh. Right? Because the flesh is strong. Right? And it's only strong because this world is geared to the flesh. Right? It's a chain of darkness. And we are of the light of Yahweh Shemil Shai. So the flesh pulls you to darkness where you can't see, because you can't see in the dark. It's pitch dark, you can't see. Right? It brings you to that domain. But if you stay in the spirit, you can see. Right? That's where you gotta fight. You gotta fight. It's a wrestle. It's a tug of war. Right? Second Peter 2:4. For if Yahweh's spirit, not the angels that sin, but cast them down to hell, and deliver them into chains of darkness to be reserved unto judgment. Right? And what we chains of darkness are these bodies. They're darkness. They're dark. Right? They just want to commit wickedness. And what the flesh wants to do, I had a scripture searched up. Let's see if I can find it. Salakia. Yeah. No. Let's see. Let me try one more time. Actually. It's like there was a scripture that I wanted, and I was looking at it before. I don't know where it is now. Never mind, it's like it. It's the same one I was in. Okay, Galatians 5 and 18. But if ye led of the Spirit, ye are not under the law. Now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulation, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, envying, murders, drunkenness, revelings, and such like, of which I tell you before, as I have also told you in the time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of heaven, kingdom of Yahweh. Right? So the reason why I was looking for this is because, like I said, everything's a test. Right? First Peter 4 and 12. Beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial which is to try you. So you're going through a fiery trial which is to try you. Right? But you're in this flesh. You're in this chain of darkness. Which, like I just listed, those things that it wants to do. That's what's of the flesh. Right? So when you are, right, when you're in these chains of darkness, right, when you're going through a test, they're going to want to do what's the easier and more convenient thing, right? Because they're weak. Because the flesh is weak. It doesn't want to suffer. It doesn't want to persevere. It doesn't want to be patient. It doesn't want to wait. Right? So in any avenue, in every aspect, when there's a situation where you should suffer and wait or avoid or be patient, your flesh is going to try to do the opposite of that. Right? And when it does that, usually what's lying on the door is those things I just read. Idolatry, fornication, things like that. Right? What you really should be doing is abstaining from those things, because the scriptures also tell you to stay away. I'm roughly paraphrasing, but basically keep away from people who are wicked. Roughly paraphrasing. So anyone who's wicked, who's like a homosexual, a witch, someone who commits adultery, things like that, you want to stay away from them. So when you see those things, they're going to be throwing you at a test when you're going through a fiery trial, when everything's hot, and it might seem convenient. It's like, whatever, it's not that bad, whatever, I can deal with this. But really, in the situation, you might actually supposed to avoid that situation, because it's a test. What would Yahushua do if he was in a situation, right? Right back then, in his times, right? He would avoid it. He wouldn't deal with it. So we're trying to be like him, right? So we have to try and use the word, which is Yahushua, and apply it to right now, and the times that we're in right now. Okay? So I was going to pull something else up. You know what? And I'll pull this one. Second Timothy. I think it's 1 Corinthians. 1 Corinthians 13, 37? Which one am I thinking of? Oh, 2 Corinthians 13:7. Okay. 2 Corinthians 13:7. Beareth all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, endureth all things. So back like I was saying before, the flesh doesn't want to bear all things. It don't want to bear anything. The flesh doesn't want to believe in all things of Yahweh Shemir Shai. It wants to do the opposite. It wants to only believe in things it can see. The flesh doesn't want to hope in all things. Right? Like I said, it always wants to deal with things it can see and touch. and it doesn't want to endure. It doesn't want to suffer. So you got to really slow things down. Okay, now I got the scripture I was looking for. I can quote it. Scripture basically is, don't be hasty in the time of trouble. I'm pretty sure it's in the Apocrypha. Let's see. Just want to bring it out. Don't want to butcher anything. Yeah, right here. Ecclesiasticus 2:2. Okay, let's read from the first. Ecclesiasticus 2:1. My son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation. And you know why? Because you're in the flesh. And, and two, well, the main reason is because the Lord is testing. This is a test. You're testing, you're going through a tryout to be one of the elect, Yahweh Ratazah. Right? So you're going to be tested. He needs to see what you're made of, whether you're stubble or gold. Right? And he's going to put you through fire, which is that trials and tribulations. Verse 2, set thy mind aright and constantly endure. Constantly endure. Constantly. So you constantly have to endure. Constantly. And make not haste in time of trouble. Because when you make haste, which haste means quick, moves quickly, in time of trouble, and any time of trouble, right, you're going to make the wrong decision. That's what's just going to happen. You're going to make the wrong decision. The Lord will have mercy on you and somewhat bail you out in a situation or something like that where it's not as bad, but you still made a mistake. It could have been done this way where it didn't turn out like this, right? So you have to be able to see that. But the flesh is not going to want to constantly endure, right? It's not going to want to make its mind all right because the brain is still part of the flesh. It's flesh, right? It's just the spirit. So when it says flesh, it's including the brain. Set thy mind aright and constantly endure and make not haste in time of trouble, right? And your flesh loves making haste in time of trouble. Everyone knows that. When you get emotional because of whatever is happening, whether it's just you're dealing with your woman, whether things are going bad, someone, you had a plan in your mind that the way things are supposed to work out, you had it all planned out, but it just went total opposite. And it's like, it appears to be shambles right now. Right? And you're just getting angry and you're not thinking straight, right? You're saying things and doing things without thinking, right? You're being hasty, right? But the scripture says, make not haste in time of trouble, right? So that's what you got to stay in the spirit and look and see, oh, I'm being tested. This is a test. Okay, let me slow down. Let me calm myself down, right? I'm being tested right now. Right, and once you do that, you'll be able to see what's really going on. You'll know what to do. Because the Lord will be dealing with you again. Because you have to humble yourself. Right? And that's it on that. The point has been made. Try not to make this long. Battery's very low. So, we just have to keep fighting. Keep fighting, keep enduring. Right? It's not easy, but it can be done. Because we have an example. A perfect example. Right? So it can be done. To the best of our ability, of course. Yahweh Ratazah, we're part of that number. So hopefully this lesson was edifying to hopeful elect that are pushing his word and truth and sincerity across the four corners of the earth. And shalom until next time.